We're going to tilt this down so you guys can see my snake and my tattoo. It's fun being under the thumb of government. It's great. I recommend it. I recommend everybody try it. I'm just waiting for these cases to like progress. That's one of the worst parts about being in the system. All right. One of the worst parts of being in the system is you have to wait for the system sometimes. And like once you get to a certain spot, you're like, well, I don't want to wait now. Now I want to fight. I want to go do the things that need to be done and get it over with. But you have to wait for government. And the real frustrating things about court is like trying to get a court date. There's like a trade-off spot where once you get to a certain spot, even if you wanted to, like if I wanted to file a motion today in my criminal case and like do something, getting a motion hearing date would be well past my existing omnibus date. So you just have to wait for the omnibus date. What do you think about the people that are saying Keanu and Chrissie are nose guarding for me? I don't care what people say. If people ask me to come on a show and I can, I try to do it. Same as before. That's never changed. You know, I told one of my friends today, they're like, I'm waiting for things to kind of just resolve. I'm waiting for things to resolve and whatever. And I said, good. Like, I'm very toxic. Don't like subject yourself to my aura or whatever, because like people go after people who have me on their show, and it's like, well, I mean, I guess, but it's not their fault. Like, they didn't do anything. If you hate what I did, like, that's fine. But they didn't do anything. They're like, you can't let that guy talk. It's like, well, okay, I guess. But I don't want people to, like, go out on a limb or defend me or anything like that. I really... Why bother? Now, some people do, and I appreciate the shit out of it. There's a bunch of people who've stuck by me through all of this, and they said, hey, well, you know, I believe in these principles or whatever, and or they're like, I know you, and I don't think this is whatever. That's great. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. But I don't ask anybody to do that. And in fact, I've spent so much time telling people, like, hey, you don't get to hear my side of the story because I have these like limitations, and that's fine. That means, like, I can't really be mad at you if you decide I'm a dirtbag based on what you hear. I hope you don't. Oh, stupid moth. Like, I hope you don't think I'm a dirtbag and you give me the benefit of the doubt, but I can't fault people for doing it because I'm not telling you my side of the story. I'm opting to bring my side into the courthouse rather than the court of social media. And as I've said a billion times, that comes with a huge trade-off. I can't expect people to accept the story I'm not telling. I said, I hope they'll wait. I hope people will reserve judgment and keep an open mind and you know, let the legal process play out. But that's a hope. And as it gets closer to you, right, and people know you better and stuff like that, you go, dude, you know I didn't do this thing, that thing, whatever. You know that's not right. Like, you know me, you know my character. And it gets frustrating when people who do know your character, like, ignore that. And they go, well, I mean, I thought I knew or whatever. It's like, well, why don't you let me have a chance to be proven guilty or not guilty? But until then, people make up their decisions. So I appreciate people who, again, stick by me. I don't begrudge people who think I'm garbage. I mean, some of it's a little hyperbolic, okay? But that's fine. That's the way it goes. But as for, like, Keanu and Chrissie, anyone who thinks Keanu is nose guarding probably hasn't been paying attention much, because I don't... Just because Keanu stopped, like, for a while, I guess she was, like, really kind of dumping on me or whatever, which is, again, perfectly fine. I actually said that to her. Was like, look, I'm not going to ask you to not hate me. You don't take my word for it. why would you? You don't know me, or whatever. I said that to her in DMs, which I'm pretty sure were revealed. But that being said, she was very critical of me for a while. And I think she became less critical, but not because she's like running defense for me. I don't think that's happening. But, you know, maybe she is. I don't know. But I don't think that isn't accurate of what I've seen of Keanu. But if she is nose guarding, thank you. I am Goliath and David is dangerous. Do I have my kids back yet? Very soon. Very soon. Well, I hesitate to say dates, but we'll say within less than 2 weeks. How's that? Kids will be home in less than 2 weeks. So, again, I know there's this like wonderful theory that I did all these horrible things or whatever, but it's just not true. I'm sorry. I tried to explain like the aspects of Minnesota law and why people are seeing certain things that don't go with my narrative or whatever. And it's like, this is just how the process works, and it's a highly specialized area. I don't practice in juvenile protection, so like I've had to learn this as I go too. I'm not faulting people for not knowing it. Trying to explain why there's like long-term out-of-home placement plans being filed in your case on a certain date is because it's a requirement by law to have concurrent planning. And people are like, no, Nick's just lying. It's like, well, no, I don't have any reason. Like, you could go look that up. It's fine. The deadlines are in the statute. There's no point in lying about that. It's just, there's another part of the case that's going on at the same time. And it should be resolved. Like I said, the kids' case should be resolved. Kids should be back home in less than 2 weeks. So there's another weird rumor or like misunderstanding out there. People think that I am scheduling drug tests and they're not random. That's completely retarded. I've been on random testing since it was ordered in the child custody case. Obviously, all of those tests have come back completely clean. We've done all of the testing. Do I wish I never started YouTubing? No, not at all. So, but no, what I was saying is, yeah, there's big misconceptions on the drug test. People think that I'm either not doing drug tests, which is false. Again, the moment a judge ordered us to do drug tests, we immediately complied. We did one voluntary test prior to being ordered. That's the test that was entered into one voluntary urinalysis test, I should say. That's the test that was entered into evidence at our hearing. That test is on like June 7th or whatever. We took it, might have taken it June 6th. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We did one voluntary urinalysis test prior to being ordered to test. And of course that one was clean too. But that's the only test we chose the timing of for urinalysis. And then we were ordered to random testing. We complied immediately. We've been random testing since that June 7th hearing. And, and like I said, the county pays for those because it's part of a juvenile protection matter, not a criminal matter. So they're different. There's just, look, people just don't know. They don't know this because it's different by state. It's different state versus federal. In federal criminal trials, the feds pay for your drug testing. In state court in Minnesota, they don't. Lots of misconceptions out there. People think we're dodging drug tests or gaming the system. Look, we're on the random testing system. We've had clean tests for all of them. Many people today would consider Christ of the Bible to be less than perfect. Does that mean he's less than perfect? No. Many would consider him to be less than perfect. Well, he hung around with the whores and prostitutes and tax collectors and, politicians or whatever. And some people think that in and of itself is negative. And they're like, well, or they like excuse it going, well, I couldn't do that, but only Jesus could do that. It's like, well, I mean, maybe that's right. Maybe it's not. But that wouldn't stop people today. Like, would PPP consider someone who hung around me to be a sinner? Just by default? Maybe, right? I don't know. I haven't asked him.